What's happening today, guys? Hey, listen, I wanted to start taking a look at some of the more of these vendor weapons. A lot of these weapons are weapons that I guess you see on the norm, you know what I mean? Whether you're part of New Monarchy, whether it's Dead Orbit or Future War Cult, you see these weapons a bunch there. And specifically, I kind of go over vendor roles, but also different roles because I want to see outside of what's just being sold right there on what we can reach. What is the potential of each one of these weapons? Now, today we're going to be talking about Assembly 2. It is an auto rifle there with a new Monarchy, and it also is the same archetype of what you have with Doctrine of Passing, and something of which I was kind of curious to see what I can get as far as rolls on this weapon. I wanted to see exactly how this weapon stacked against things like Doctrine of Passing and stuff like that. So let's talk about gameplay. Alright, so gameplay wise, man, we're looking at kind of a different auto rifle in terms of default stats. You know, vendor roll wise, you're looking at perfect balance, counterbalance, combine that with armor piercing rounds if you want to throw that on there. Now my roll's just a tad bit different. Instead of armor piercing rounds, I actually have high caliber rounds, which is pretty nice to have on just about any weapon you use. It helps in those 1v1 engagements, and I gotta tell you, man, it was probably the one thing that was saving my ass though in those fights. Now this is what I was running into. In close range proximities, this auto rifle was doing great. It was doing what its purpose was, which was just absolutely being the bullet hose that was meant to be, shredding their people. You've seen it multiple times before with Doctrine of Passing. The issue is outside of that range. When you move past that range, get into those mid-fights, mid-range engagements, you really start to see where those perks are and why you need things like brace frame, why you need things like persistence. Those little things are the things that can keep your reticle on point in those mid-range fights whenever you're landing hit after hit after hit. I can tell you right now, if I didn't land the first initial shots of this assault rifle, I just went in and told myself I need to back out of it, man. I need to roll out, re-engage once I get my health back, because it's just not going to pull it out for me. Stability wise, man, it's just lacking. That's the thing that's killing it the most. Even with perfect balance and counterbalance, you know, perfect balance being the only thing that's directly affecting it as far as stability goes, I'm only looking at 51. Now, counterbalance with it, I've got to say, man, I would never use this weapon unless you have counterbalance on this thing. This thing has to have counterbalance on it. You know, other weapons out there that I've messed around with, like unbent tree and stuff like that, some of them I didn't have counterbalance on. Some of them I just had brace frame on. Look, with brace frame, you might be able to survive without counterbalance. But what I'm trying to say is here with this weapon without brace frame, you've got to have counterbalance on this thing, dude. That's the only way. If you're hell-bent on using this weapon, I highly suggest getting that vendor roll or getting a weapon that's, or getting a roll similar to it with that perfect balance, counterbalance. And again, perfect balance being the only perk that directly affects, other than small bore, but again, I would still choose, you know, that would be a toss-up between how you feel about it. Either way it goes, it didn't help it as far as snagging those crits over and over again. Now, if you want to give it a try, man, go right ahead, pick it up and try it out for yourself. But I will say this, after you get done trying it, and if you feel like there's still a hole in your heart that you really think that there's a better auto rifle, I can tell you right now, there's many other alternatives, and like I say, Doctrine of Passing is still a great one that you can definitely try. You can still get it from the bounties there in trials. Unbent Tree also from Iron Banner is actually a pretty solid auto rifle as well. Either way it goes, you know, give it a try for yourself and kind of formulate your own opinions about it. So guys, thanks so much for coming and watching. I'll catch y'all later. Slap that like button like your mama told you right.